On today's Alrighty, on today's Padone My Take, the NBA playoffs are here. We're back in the Big Play studio officially talking NBA playoffs, talking our Cleveland Indians. They're on right now. They might be struggling, but we're still going to support them. We'll talk about the Zach Plesac injury, the implications with that. So much more to get into. Some Browns training camp, some OTA stuff going on, Julio Jones rumors. But first, I have to tell you guys about the Big Play store, Progressive Field, First Energy Stadium. They're finally going to be back at full capacity. Celebrate with some new Cleveland merchandise to wear to the ball game. Browse all the awesome shirt designs and more at store.bigplay.com. For every Cleveland fan, use promo code PADONE at checkout. Save 15% off your entire purchase at the Big Play store. That's my last name, Padone, for 15% off your entire purchase at the Big Play store. Without further ado, let's do it. Alrighty, guys, welcome on in. Padone My Take, streaming live on bigplay.com. We're also on demand for free on Apple Pods, on Spotify. Just search Padone My Take. Appreciate everybody in the comments. What a packed show today. Had some technical difficulties off rip. As you could see, back in the Big Play studio, not in the Nick Cave today, even though can't pull the comments up on the stream. Had to do it the old-fashioned way, man. Technology in 2021. You think we would have these kind of things figured out by now, but we don't. That's fine. Show must go on. Because our Cleveland Indians, the show has to go on with them. Even down their starting pitchers, down just about everybody. So if you've been living under a rock, Zach Plesac, second starting Tribe pitcher, behind Shane Bieber, goes down with a thumb injury, 10-day DL, after what Terry Francona called taking his shirt off too aggressively. First off, could we just talk about what a bizarre story this is? And then we'll get into the actual ramifications and how this will affect our tribe moving forward. Super weird situation. I don't know if that's a cover for something else. That's immediately where my mind went, right? I immediately put on the journalist hat, like, no way did this cat hurt himself taking off his shirt. Like, did he pull a LeBron and punch a whiteboard? Did he get mad on the mound and hit it? Whatever happened, I don't know that I believe that he ripped his shirt off too aggressively and it got stuck in the locker. Something there seemed a little bit sketch, a little bit off. Maybe a topic for a different day. The Indians are going to have to find a way to survive without Zach Plesac. And that brings us to our Twitter poll of the week that we have live up right now on Padone My Take on Twitter. Are you worried about the Cleveland Indians pitching without without Zach Plesac? And we already do have a comment from Homebrew Kev, our good buddy, tweets the show and says he's not going to worry or stress about the Indians at all this year. He's just going to kick back, let the team come to him, and enjoy the summer. That's not a bad philosophy to have, Kev. I worry about these next 10 games because these next 10 games are going to be a telltale sign of what is going to be to come of this team as they move forward. So obviously right now, as the show goes on tonight, they are just rolling with Tristan McKenzie. I respect it. I'm a huge Tristan McKenzie fan. I felt awful for the kid when he was getting rocked. It felt like there was so much potential there. One of our top prospects was supposed to just be making a little, what are they called, spot start, and then it has to get put into a bad situation and everything goes awry. That's not a detriment to Tristan McKenzie or what he could become. On the flip side, I just think he needs more time. I think being up in the big leagues wasn't doing his confidence any good, but now that he's back up here against the Detroit Tigers, who, let's be honest, offensively aren't the cream of the crop of the league, maybe it could be a blessing in disguise that this happened at this juncture in the season. You could roll with Tristan McKenzie. You could roll with Cal Quantrill, maybe throw a bullpen game on Monday for that triple header against the White Sox. But that's where I get nervous as we talk about the Tribe. And are you nervous? I want to hear from you. Tweet the show at @PadonMyTake, because the Indians have a little bit of tough sledding coming up. Obviously, the 3 against the Tigers, probably nothing to stress about, especially because coming off a win, another really awesome Aaron Savali performance. Seems like he is as advertised. But without Zach Plesac, you're going to have to play games, are the Cleveland Indians, against the Toronto Blue Jays, who are a team above 500 and that have some legitimate bats in that lineup between Vlad Guerrero Jr., between Bo Bichette, some of the younger hitters that Toronto has. And then you don't need me to tell you about the Chicago White Sox. And as a Cleveland Indians fan, that's the expectation for this team, it seems, every year, is to win the American League Central, to be atop the division and a part of that race. And if that team wants to do that this year, the Chicago White Sox are what stands in the way. So I'm looking forward to the series with the doubleheader that kicks off at the beginning of next week, because I do think it will tell us a lot about where this team is, about the resiliency of this team. I'm excited. Even though I'm nervous because of the lack of pitching, I'm excited. Also, a big thing happens on June 2nd, which is the beginning of next week, and that is that Progressive Field will be full capacity, which is good news for us as fans, for us community members that wanted to get out and enjoy our favorite baseball team live and in person, vaccinated or unvaccinated, mask or no mask. We're finally going to be able to go back and support our team, which is cool and all. But I also think that could be a really good thing for a team that's young, a team that hasn't plays with a lot of energy like this one. Imagine if Josh Naylor hits a home run in the first game back at Progressive Field full capacity. That guy has a lot of energy, a lot of swag, a lot of moxie. He's going to go crazy. Imagine if James Karinchak gets in a relief and strikes out the side to set up Clase to close the ninth. The place is going to go nuts. It's going to be pandemonium at the corner of Carnegie and Ontario. And I think this team could feed off of that. And it could be good enough to keep them afloat, to keep the division just close enough with Chicago to the point where Zach Plesac comes off the 10-day DL. Hopefully to the point eventually that Roberto Perez could come back from the James Karinchak wild pitch that ended up requiring Robbie P to have surgery. And, he's obviously on the 60-day DL, so that will take some time. But I do think a young team that is challenged offensively could find some mojo and could, quite frankly, find some luck in home field games with a packed stadium. I know I can't wait to get to the ballpark. I obviously didn't go to any games last year when there wasn't any fans. Haven't been to one this year. It's been much, much too long, and it's going to be really fun to just go there and witness that, especially if our baseball team rallies behind us as a fan base and starts to win some games. But our question on Twitter, are you nervous about where the Cleveland Indians are at right now? Zach Plesac, finger injury, 10-day IL. Does that make you nervous? Another thing that's bizarre to me about the entire situation with Plesac is the sheer fact that the Cleveland Indians as an organization under Paul Dolan, who we talked about last week, and I'm not going to talk about him again this week, they decided that their path for success, their recipe, was going to be heavily, heavily reliant on pitching. And dare I say, so far so good. You've made it to the World Series in 2016, the playoffs in 2017, playoffs in 2018, just missed in 2019, back in the wild card in 2020. Looks like another playoff / wild card competing year in 2021. They're relevant because of their pitching. So it's interesting to me now to see a team that only has 3 major league starters at this point, really 2 major league starters, Shane Bieber, Aaron Savali. Tristan McKenzie's up. He's highly thought of. He has a almost 7.0 ERA this season because of his struggles earlier in the year before being optioned down to AAA Columbus. I'm just a little intrigued by that and not fearful. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. I hope people see what I'm saying here, that I don't want to get too complacent again on pitching alone. I need to see, Eddie Rosario stay hot. One of these shortstop prospects, infielders, whether it be Owen Miller, who just got called up, Ahmed Rosario has played better late, Andreas Jimenez to figure things out. One of these guys to stick and to be a bat, because getting to the playoffs is cool. Getting to the playoffs is fun. It gives you a taste of what success feels like as an organization. But for me, there's a reason that this team hasn't been able to get over that hump, hasn't been able to win a World Series. And I hear the arguments, Nick, they were a game away in 2016. I know. That makes this itch worse for me. That makes me long so badly to get to the World Series again, to have another memorable baseball year like 2016 was, because everybody was betting against the Tribe in 2016. People didn't think they would get out of the first round against the Boston Red Sox, let alone play the Chicago Cubs and bring them to Game 7 of the World Series. This year's team gives me similar jibes in the sense that when they're hot, and when they're off, they're off. My only concern is, can the hitting maintain the level of success that we have had when that year happened, when you had Party at Napoli hitting clutch home runs in the World Series, and Roberto Perez clutch home run, Jason Kipnis hit a home run. Can you create somehow in a vacuum that type of production, not only throughout the season to get to the postseason, but then once you get to the postseason, you start to see who could compete with the big boys and who cannot. And that was my gauge for the Indians. Obviously 2016 was cool and it was fun, it was memorable, and then 2017 felt like a disappointment because you win all those consecutive games. It looks like you're really World Series favorite between the pitching rotation, the batting lineup, and the team flew flat on their face, and then from then it was just kind of cutting corners on salary, cutting contracts down, and now the Tribe are in the spot that they're at. But for me personally, I always just ask myself, are the Indians good enough to compete with the big boys? Do the New York Yankees just scare the pants off this team? Or if they get to the postseason, and that's the quote that I've heard my whole life from baseball fans, from older people, younger people alike, that in baseball, it's a unique sport because once you get to the postseason, anything can happen. But truth be told, I haven't seen that in my life. I haven't seen that in my 22 years of existence, that anything could happen. And maybe that's a little bit of an exaggeration because I saw it in 2016 when things were stacked against the Indians and they had injuries and we were relying on Josh Tomlin and Corey Kluber basically to be the anchors of the rotation through a World Series push. But ever since then, I have to wonder if that was just luck? Does this team have what it takes, not just this year, but in years prior? Does this organization have what it takes to compete with the big boys? You talk about making the playoffs, and that's cool and fun, especially in the expanded version that we saw last year with the extra wild card team and everything else. It's so intriguing because you talk playoffs, and that seems like such a feasible, attainable goal. But then you talk World Series, and you're like, whoa. World Series, now I'm thinking of the big boys. Now I'm thinking of Los Angeles, California with Dodger Blue looking to repeat. I'm thinking of the Chicago White Sox right here in my own division. Another big market that was putrid for several years but really did a nice job turning things around, stacking up on pitching, Lucas Giolito, stacking up on some big power bats, which have proven to need in the American League Central. The Indians have struggled with that for a very long time. And I'm just like, I don't know. Playoffs seem so attainable. If I had to place a bet on the Cleveland Indians today, even as shorthanded 2 major league starters on the roster, whatever you want to say, to make the playoffs in a wild card, even as a wild card, I'd probably make that bet. I think the Indians will make the playoffs. But to say, are the Indians going to come out of the American League? And if I had to put my money where my mouth is and take off my homer cap for a second, I don't know that I could go that far. I don't know if I have enough faith in this team once that postseason starts, because we just haven't seen it in the last couple years. 2016 was magical, but since then it seemed like a lot of expectations and failure to live up to those expectations. And, people hate in this town when you pit the teams against each other, and that's not what I'm going to try to do here. We gave the Browns a free pass through 1-31, really since 1999, of having damn near 20 years of suck before they finally got good, because that's all we knew. All we knew were the Browns being horrible. But with the Indians, we knew success. Success was close enough for people to remember and people to taste and people to hold on to with the memorable 90s Indians. And then they saw the team decline through the 2000s. But then here we are again, 2015, they just missed the playoffs. 2016, hit the World Series. 17, 18, barely missed it in 19. Back in 2020, as fans, we're sitting here like, we have success right now. Forget about the window and the talk about that. We've had the taste of the window. We know what success feels like during the regular season. We know the anticipation of waiting through work all day to come home and watch a postseason baseball game. Show us, Indians, show us that we could get to that next level, even to compete for the American League, because it's been a struggle for this team to make a splash in the playoffs outside of the first round after 2016. It's amazingly weird to me how that works in baseball. And they say once you get in, you never know what happens. I've said it on this show. I've said it on Big Play Reflog. I'll say it until I'm blue in the face. When healthy, this starting lineup, paired with what this offense is capable of, not what they've shown consistently over the course of a year, but what they're capable of, because I've seen them score 6+ runs several nights this year, mixed with this bullpen of Brian Shaw, who has made me eat my words so far this season. I'm not yet 100% sold. I don't love the fact that they're pitching him a ton of innings, because that, to me, says that his arm is going to fall off at some juncture in the near future. But I pair all these facts together, that the bats could get hot, that you have potentially a repeating Cy Young and Shane Bieber, 2 really good young arms in Zach Plesac and Aaron Savali that could take it deep into the games, a 4th starter in Sam Hentges where the jury's still out on him, possibly a slew of 5th starters with McKenzie or Quantrill or whoever you want to throw out there, in bullpen long relief. And this is a team that I want to see make a run for the postseason, because this is a team that has what it takes to get hot if they could just get over that hump. I could imagine a universe where a healthy Franmil Reyes, a healthy Josh Naylor, Jose Ramirez are hitting bombs in the postseason. Zach Plesac, Aaron Savali, Shane Bieber are lights out. Then you go to Brian Shaw. Then you go to James Karinchak. Then you go to, Class A, and that's how you win a World Series. It's possible. Like I keep saying, it seems so distant because when you say the words World Series, you think of Chicago, you think of the Dodgers. You're not thinking of even your favorite baseball team right now, because we haven't seen them put it all together at one time consistently. They've done it for games. That just the other night they had 6 runs, but guess what? They also gave up 5. With this starting rotation, when healthy, again, not healthy right now, this should be a rotation that on night 1 of Bieber, night 2 of Plesac, night 3 with Savali, you should be giving up probably no more than 3 runs a night with those 3 guys. That's dominance. In the postseason, that's exactly what you need. And it feels so wild to be talking about this right now as we sit in May. It's not even June. Summer has barely begun. Postseason talk is ludicrous. But as a fan of this team, when I watch on a nightly basis, especially when things are going well, I just can't help myself but to think that this team could be magical. This team could be exciting. And then you have the flip side where they go out and lay an egg and they make you want to pull your hair out. But if they could get everybody healthy, which is a big if, and if they could get everybody on the same page at once, which is another big if, you're telling me there's a chance. I want to hear from you guys, though, on Twitter, at @PidonMyTake. The poll is up. The Cleveland Indians have some tough games. Toronto Blue Jays, they're over 500. How about those Chicago White Sox? They're in first place. Kansas City Royals in third, climbing up to compete with the Tribe in second place. Are you worried with Zach Plesac on the 10-day DL with that bizarre finger injury? I want to hear from you at @PidonMyTake. Tweet me at NickPidon12. We update that Twitter poll straight ahead. You're listening to Padon My Take on BigPlay.com. Stick with us. Alrighty. Padon My Take, streaming live on BigPlay.com. My name is Nick Padon, hanging out with you guys for the next 30 minutes or so. That poll is up on Twitter at Padon My Take, and we update it now. Are you worried about the Cleveland Indians rotation without Zach Plesac? That is the question that we have tonight. The votes are in. They're still coming in fast and furious. I'm going to go ahead and vote no. I'm not that worried because the Indians under Terry Francona have always found a way to stitch starts together. They'll find some young guy, McKenzie tonight. Maybe Quantrill could be the guy that comes in and gives a few solid games. The votes are pouring in, but as of right now, our way too early Twitter poll results, 71% of people are like me. They're not that worried. Only 29% of people say that they're feeling a little bit warm, a little bit nervous when it comes to our Cleveland Indians pitching. That was so much fun. As always, we talk Tribe on Padon My Take, courtesy of our friends at Dugout Mugs. Baseball's back. Cleveland Indians are back. You know what you need to do before summer gets here. You don't want it to pass Memorial Day, friends, and you don't want to be at your Memorial Day cookout with baseball games on without your Dugout Mug. What are you doing? Order that bat mug today. Visit dugoutmugs.com/bigplay to view their entire Cleveland Indians collection. I'm in the dugout, and you should be too with the Dugout Mugs. Make sure to go chime in on that poll on Twitter at Padon My Take. Are you worried about the Cleveland Indians without Zach Plesac? That is the question tonight. The NBA playoffs are here. Do you care? I've gotten so much low interaction tweets out of these playoffs. Last night, I didn't even bother tweeting about them. I'm personally having more fun with these playoffs than I've had probably since 2018. And I've wet on my fits in the past. If you're new to the show, I'm a diehard Cleveland Cavaliers fan through and through. I am absolutely irate that the season ended 3 Sundays ago and we haven't heard a peep or an iota out of general manager Kobe Altman. I'm upset that this rebuild is taking as long as it would. I really, truly, in my heart of hearts, thought and promised to my fans on this show that things were going to be different this time without LeBron, that this even could be the season where not only do they make a play-in game, but they could also make a little run in the playoffs and be a very surprising team and have some revenge on the league for not inviting them to the bubble. Alas, all of that was fake. All of that was a fabrication of the inner mechanisms of my mind, and none of those things came true. But this year, instead of being bitter and watching the NBA playoffs in spite and of sorrow and wishing that LeBron was back on my favorite basketball team and not caring about what the finals matchup looks like, I'm actually having quite fun. In the first round, which is very strange. Maybe it's one of those things where last year the bubble and the playoff format was so weird and largely not that many people cared, that it was like distance makes the heart grow fonder, and now that it's back and it's normal, I'm having so much fun with fans in the stands, and we'll get to that in a second and what a certain fan base is doing that just has me buzzing. But let's go through these matchups. I kind of want to create live on my show the 2021 NBA playoffs bracket of what I think will happen, how this will pan out. I guess there's no better place to start than LeBron James and the Lakers. LeBron is the basketball nexus. LeBron is the core of the NBA, and everything else just revolves around what LeBron James does. So a 2 versus a 7. Obviously, the Lakers as a 7, not ideal for LeBron, for AD, but they still home court advantage back. This series is currently tied at 1-1 as we record this podcast live on Wednesday. Obviously, these things are going to change because the audio version of this pod will be uploaded and games will be still going on, but that's the fun of doing live shows. So if I shoot myself in the foot and make a horrible prediction, so be it, internet. Live it on. Make all the memes. Bet your little heart's desire. Lakers, Suns, listen. I'm a big fan of what the Phoenix Suns have been able to do. Obviously, I'm a huge LeBron fan. Changed the trajectory of my childhood and became a sports fan. Won the 2016 NBA Finals. Kept true on his promise and brought a ring back to Northeast Ohio. Has done nothing but good for the community of Akron. I don't know that he cares about Cleveland as much as it's led on to be, but he definitely cares about Akron, which is good enough for me. Northeast Ohio either way. The Suns have been impressive, and I think James Jones has done a really nice job of just doing what he can, in the same sense of eventually that's what the Cavs are going to do. You have Devin Booker, who's a nice player, but pretty much seen as a volume scorer. You have DeAndre Ayton, who's a nice player, but is a center in the NBA in a league where centers are dead. You have a bunch of role players. Jay Crowder has been playing out of his absolute mind. Just players like that, and you stitch it together a pretty nice team with, Bridges and the other goons that team has. However, the Lakers have LeBron and AD. And I know the Suns had an awesome year. They were the 2 seed in the West. They weathered the storms of Utahs of the world and the Clippers of the world and the Dallases and Denvers and Portlands. That's incredible in the Western Conference. And kudos to James Jones, former Cavalier and current general manager of the Phoenix Suns. That's a tremendous accolade. And I do think the future is bright for that organization, even if they lose Chris Paul in free agency this summer. But I look at this matchup, man, and I know it's tied at 1-1 now, and it's going back to Staples, and LeBron's playing on a bum ankle and with a bum eye. I believe of that what you will. I take him for his word. I do think he's a little banged up, probably more banged up in the first round of the NBA playoffs than he would like to be. I'm not picking against LeBron in the first round. Come on, give me a break. I'm not picking against AD, against the Los Angeles Lakers. The team that they've put together is kind of built for the playoffs. We saw that last year. I know they got a lot of goons on that team. Kyle Kuzma, come on. Contavious Caldwell-Pope, come on. Like, these guys aren't anything to write home about. You got Wesley Matthews playing huge primetime minutes in this one. Give me the Lakers. We'll move on kind of quicker past that, but I had to touch on that pretty heavily, especially since the fact that it's LeBron, and he is what makes the basketball world tick in 2021, even though it's his 18th year in the league. So the winner of Phoenix and LA is going to either be Portland or Denver. which is also, I believe, currently tied at 1-1. I think Denver is honestly dead in the water. If I was Denver and a fan of them, I wouldn't be mad if they petered out right now. And the reasoning there is because without Jamal Murray, you're not going to do a whole lot. I don't love the idea of just Monty Morris running around and doing stuff by himself. I'm going to pick Portland. I'm picking 2 upsets, 7 seed over a 2 seed in LA, and Portland, a 6 seed over a 3 seed to come out of the first round. First off, if it is Lakers and Portland in round 2, that will be an incredible must-see second round. But I just feel bad for what's going on with Denver right now. When Jamal Murray went down, man, it was like, what the hell is this team going to do? They've kept afloat. They're making things interesting. They did just beat Portland in a pretty impressive fashion. But when you have Dame and you have CJ, maybe this is one that goes 7. I could see Portland coming out on top. Call it a hot take. Call it crazy. That's what I see happening. We go to the 4 versus 5 matchup in the Dallas Mavericks and the Los Angeles Clippers. This guy is 2-0, and this guy's is over. Over. Kawhi Leonard headed for free agency. Once again, we get to play Kawhi watch. How about Luka Doncic? The guy looks like he gets his haircut at Great Clips. He wears an offensive guard football jersey number, and he just cooks any team in the league. The Clippers are dead in the water. Their owner, who is a maniac Looney Tunes super fan of basketball, that guy needs to do something. Steve, I think his first name is, because, dude, you got Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, and a bunch of guys on that basketball team. Where on the inverse, you have Luka Doncic, who is the brightest star in basketball, Kristaps Porzingis, who is a hell of a number 2, and then some role players like Tim Hardaway Jr., Maxi Kleber, that are just straight bucket getters. That's going to be a headache for any team, and it's just way too much for the Clippers, who have 2 of the best defenders in the NBA in Kawhi and PG. It's mind-boggling how that series has gone so far. They went to LA, did Dallas, and steal not one, but both games, and they're going back home. That series is going to be over in a hurry. Give me Dallas there. We head to the 1 versus 8 matchup in the Western Conference, a game that will be going on as we're recording this, and consequently as it gets uploaded to your listening platforms. We have the Utah Jazz versus the Memphis Grizzlies. I love the Grizzlies. I do. I think John Morant is very good. I think Jaren Jackson's very good. I know his name has been floated around in trade rumors. I think the Grizzlies just play hard. They probably didn't deserve to be here. Obviously, they made it due to the play-in tournament victory over the Golden State Warriors. I think Utah comes out of this on top just solely because they have the talent right now. They have kind of what it takes over some of these other teams. That's my prediction on the Western side of the first round. Let's move to the East. I got Philly over Washington. Too much Joel Embiid. Not a whole lot to say there. Maybe Doc was the missing piece. I don't know. I kind of doubt it. Moving into the 4 and 5 matchup, this is my favorite matchup of the entire NBA playoffs, and that is the New York Knicks and the Atlanta Hawks. This series is so much fun. I love New York basketball. I think New York basketball could be good enough. Don't make me eat my words. Knicks fans, I'm pulling for you. You're a passionate bunch. I'm going to put New York in over Atlanta, right in with both favorites. I just think they have something about them this year. They're not going to do anything spectacular. Whichever team that comes out of this 4 versus 5 is just playing who's going to get gentlemen swept in 5 games against Philly next round. But give me the Knicks. It's fun. What's going on right now is fun in that series. So give me New York. We head to 3 versus 6. Bucks, Heat. Bucks are rolling. They don't even really need Giannis, it looks. You know, Drew Holiday, Chris Middleton, some of those dudes that they have are legitimately good pickups. Again, I don't know that Milwaukee could do a whole lot yet. We'll see as things progress, but I'm going to take Milwaukee over Miami right now. And we head into the last of our first round games. We have the Boston Celtics doing battle with the Brooklyn Nets. Give me the Nets. Come on. Even if they had Jaylen Brown in Boston, I still think this would be the Nets series to take. KD, Harden, Kyrie, all on the same floor at the same time. That's just much too much. I can't pick against that. Those are my first round predictions. As far as my NBA Finals prediction goes, I'll lock it in right now. As the playoffs progress, we'll keep talking NBA playoffs. I'm seriously having a lot of fun with it. So we'll just keep this fun alive as we move forward and get into our next matchups whenever these series end. As it stands right now, I'm going with LeBron. I'm doing it. I'm picking the Lakers. I'm picking the Brooklyn Nets. I want to hear from you guys, though. Drop a tweet under this one. Padone my take. Tweet me at NickPadone12. Am I crazy for thinking Lakers, Nets, NBA Finals? What do you guys have? I want to hear from you. Who's making the NBA Finals? Drop a comment. Without further ado, it's time to go into what's trending because here are our plays of the week on BigPlay.com. Alrighty, if you're new to the show, welcome in. Plays of the week. Here's how this goes. We have a small play, a medium play, and a large play of every week of headlines, of news, of situations. A small play being something that had me riled up, had me angry, something that missed the mark. The big play of the week, something that hit the mark, something that was awesome. And the medium play of the week, something that fell in the middle. Usually these are about sports. Sometimes we get a little bit off track. If I do have an honorable mention of big play of the week, it's the Olivia Rodrigo album. Absolute slapper. Not a paid endorsement, but go listen to it. All right. That totally wasn't a bet for me to say that or anything like that. We get into our small play of the week, who is Shannon Sharp. Shannon Sharp missed every mark this week with the whole Julio Jones skerfuffle, more or less. Shannon on First Take on his live show calls up Julio Jones, tosses him on speakerphone, says, "Julio, it's your Uncle Shannon. What's going on, brother? Are you going to Dallas? Are you out of Atlanta?" And Julio admits that he wants out of Atlanta. He says that he doesn't want to go to Dallas. He's trying to win. He said indirectly that he knows if he's trying to win that Dallas is not the place for him. That sets Twitter, NFL Twitter, up in storm. Oh my God, Shannon Sharp just set the world on fire. Julio Jones is on the move. Where is he going? Let's start the Jarvis Wars while we're at it. Let's get him on the Browns. I'm sitting here thinking, what the hell? There is no way that Julio Jones knew that he was on live television on speakerphone, which is journalism ethics 101, and quite literally a crime that Shannon Sharp committed by not consenting with both parties before recording and consequently airing a phone call that I don't think Julio knew he was on TV. I really don't. I don't think Julio Jones knows that Shannon Sharp is going to call him up on live television. I don't know that Julio watches Fox Sports day talk programming. It's unlikely, to say the best. And Shannon Sharp missed the mark this week, and I feel bad for Julio because he's had hell of a week. He took a photo with a fan wearing a Dallas Cowboys hoodie, which went super viral because Julio with a Dallas Cowboys hoodie on, people are like, oh my God, he's going to Dallas. No, he was just working out in Texas. Then this happens as a result of that photo where Shannon Sharp just airs him out on live TV with his phone basically in his mic, and Julio says that he's on the move. He's not staying in Atlanta. He wants to win, and the world got set on fire, but you cannot do that. You cannot do that. That would be like, let me put this in context, in just a Cleveland format. It wouldn't happen here on this show. You know, maybe it happens on ESPN Cleveland. Maybe it happens on 92.3 The Fan, where one of those guys just calls up Baker on their own phone, not from the station's phone where, you know, it's a thing and they got their headphones on and they hear Baker through their headphones. Somebody that has a good relationship with him just calls him up and says, Baker, are you signing an extension with the Browns before this season starts? And puts him on speaker. And Baker goes, yeah, man, Andrew Berry and I, we're really close on signing an extension. I think it's going to get done. Without saying, Baker, you're on air first. That's an issue. I do think there will probably be some sort of sanctioned fine to Shannon Sharpe because that is illegal. Even if Julio Jones doesn't get as bent out of shape as me about it, you cannot do that. And I do think there will be some sort of governing body, whether it be the FCC, which I doubt, or somebody else that says, hey, that has to be the first and the last time that happens. And from a journalist standpoint, I mean, kudos to Shannon Sharpe for getting the quote because he literally set NFL news just on fire for a full calendar day. But from a journalism world, you have to do so ethically. And I think he could have, because I don't think Julio cared that much. I think he could have said, Julio, you're on air. It's your Uncle Shannon. Julio, are you out of Atlanta? And whatever Julio Jones says, then he knows he's on air. You give him the opportunity to give you the runaround answer that athletes give, the Odell Beckham, I don't know what the future holds quote, before you just air him out and he says, yeah, man, I'm out of there. No, I'm not going to Dallas. I'm not going back. I want to win. Boy, that was an ugly situation, and it feels like it died all the way down right now, so nothing huge is going to come out of it. Julio Jones is going to be on the move. As far as the Browns go, I'm good. Really, I don't want to reinvent the wheel. This is a team that we watched be a quarter away from playing in an AFC championship game in 2020 in a pandemic year. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. That's my motto, I guess, this offseason. The defense was a little bit broken. They fixed it. The offense, not so much. Keep Jarvis Landry here. I don't know why people want to get rid of him so bad and keep name chasing. Julio Jones is 32. He makes $3 million more than Jarvis Landry. Let's use our brains here. I don't think that's the smartest maneuver. Obviously, Julio is the better player. He's had a fantastic career. He's going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. But as far as fit goes, let him go to Tennessee. Let him be somewhere else. I don't love that hype that's going around on Twitter right now. Which is ironic because we move into our medium play of the week, which quite frankly, quite literally is Twitter, is our medium play of the week. And that is because Twitter has a decision to make. And that is to verify the Nick Pedone 12 account or to not verify the Nick Pedone 12 account. And let me preface it by saying this. The Nick Pedone 12 account does meet Twitter's verified criteria. Whether you love me, whether you hate me, whether you want to come drive to the Big Play studio and beat me up every night after this show, say what you want about me. I am a verified journalist. I have bylines at major publications, whether you love me or not. Whether my 2,000 some followers, I'm not into followers and numbers. That means nothing to me. That's arbitrary. As long as people are engaging with me and I'm entertaining people, that's what I care about more than anything. With that said, there is a credibility factor to this blue checkmark, and that is why I want it so bad. Additionally, there are a ton of other Nick Pedone accounts. That's why I'm Nick Pedone 12. I would have loved to have been just at Nick Pedone. But unfortunately, there's a guy that found Twitter in 2009 at Nick Pedone who speaks a different language and has one tweet and hasn't touched it since 2008. And I can't get that account. There's a bunch of other Nick Pedones. There's a Nick Pedone 1. There's a Nick Pedone. Oh, but there's a bunch of them. I am the real Nick Pedone. On Twitter, if people are looking for Nick Pedone, they're probably looking for me, whether it be for my sports writing, whether it be for me just as an idiot personality, one of my friends, whether it be somebody that I have a professional relationship. It is me. I am verified. I meet the criteria. Next week, if Twitter wants to, how about this? Would be the most show planning that I've done for an actual play of the week segment because it takes place for the week. So I don't usually plan this until as the week unfolds. Twitter, you could be my big play of the week next week. We could write it in stone. They could find the cure for cancer next week, and it still wouldn't be my big play of the week. If Twitter got me verified, Twitter will be my big play of the week. next week. So they're my medium play because it could go the other way as well. For some odd reason, I could get denied. They could look at my bylines and for whatever say, no, not it. So Twitter support, at Twitter support, whatever. Help me out. Get your boy the blue check. I'm an actual journalist. I've broken actual news as it pertains to pro sports teams. I've had Indians trades and releases. I've had Indians call-ups. I've had Browns moves and extensions and who's made the team. I need that blue check. All right, we move on to our big play of the week and more serious sports talk and not me just being a raging narcissist. And our big play of the week is New York Knicks as a fandom. And what? It feels bizarre to say I'm giving a big market team some love, a big market fan base some love, especially in New York. They're killing it. They are. Madison Square Garden in Game 1 of New York Knicks versus Atlanta Hawks was bumping. Tonight, I have an inside scoop that they are going to do a Trey is balding in reference to Trey Young and the awkward issue that he has going on the top of his head. A Trey is balding chant at Madison Square Garden. And there's people in front of the stadium passing out pieces of paper of when to start these chants. And with Trey is balding in bold-faced type on this paper, Knicks fans are electric. This is what having fans in stadiums is all about. This is what having full capacity is all about, of giving teams an advantage. Knicks fans are my big play of the week because that is just phenomenal from a content standpoint. I'm a huge fan of it. Keep it up, New York, as wild as it feels to say. You guys are my big play of the week. Hoping for some normalcy next week in my plays of the week. That's all I got for you guys tonight on bigplay.com. What a show. Huge thanks to everybody that watched or listened for free on demand on Apple Pods and Spotify. Hey, speaking of, on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, make sure to subscribe, leave a 5-star review. Helps your boy out so much. Thanks again to the Big Play store, store.bigplay.com. If you're watching the video, you see it right in the studio, store.bigplay.com on the graphic. Use promo code PADONE. That's my last name, Padone. Pedone, Padone, and save 15% off your new Cleveland merchandise for bigplay.com. My name is Nick Padone. Go live your life. Go have some fun. You guys deserve it so much. Love you so much. Adios.